Welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video, and so today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my tournament and recap of how I did in the LCS free tournament for entering LCS 3. And so if you guys haven't seen that already, feel free to check out the stream. I actually finished in there. I actually had a 4-game win streak at one point, leading to the end, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go ahead and finish strong. But I had a great time at the event, and so if you guys are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot knowing you guys are enjoying the content. So I'll go through all my matchups, and I'll go ahead and show off. Sorry about the notification. I'll go ahead and showcase the deck profile at the end, so please feel free to go ahead, and if you want to just go ahead and look at the deck profile, feel free to just leave it to the end. But I'm going to go ahead and showcase all my matches so that you guys can go ahead and see how I did. This first match was on stream, so you can, if you haven't seen it, PAX commentary, you can go ahead and check it out there. So here I'm just going to showcase my point of view. So here, based on my hand, I'm just trying to bait out Ash as much as I can here, because if he thinks that I have Shaddoll Fusion after seeing the damage trigger, I want him to waste it before I can make any other plays. So here I could have just chained the El Shaddoll after seeing the Veiler, so I can go ahead and just get a window on the board, but then it would have really messed up my summons. So I'll go ahead and just let it resolve, and I'll make the window on his turn. So he goes for Magician Souls. I can't really chain it before then, so I have to wait to go ahead and just see what he's going to do. So he goes into LuxuryGaming, and as soon as he declares for the Needle Fighter effect, I go ahead and chain El Shaddoll. Unfortunately for me, he did draw into Ghost Mourner for turn, so that really set me back, because I really would have just stunned him at this point. So I go ahead and go for Aerial to banish the 3 targets that are most valid in his graveyard, which is LuxuryGaming, Jet Synchron, and the Conquistador. Sorry about that. So I'm going to fast forward as much as I can. As I said, this was on stream. So here he just goes into the basic Eldritch combo, because Window usually can stop this combo really easily. But unfortunately, I was not able to go ahead and do that. And the most unfortunate thing is that even though I am playing Invoke Shaddoll, in this matchup I didn't draw any of my Invoke cards. So he goes ahead and just does a ton of damage, negates these with the Boral Savage, kills on my board. And from here, I just draw the impermanence, which is really nothing, and just go to game 2. So I make him go first, because I had a lot of going second things, and I could really mess up his plays. So I figured I might as well just go ahead and try and do as much damage as possible to him. So, because he might have just, he did see me going and playing first, he might have not done that. But looking at the hand, if I would have done it, it probably would have suited me better, because I would have stunned him a lot harder. So here he goes into the Needle Fiber combo. I go ahead and Nibiru him here. And based on what I'm showing here, it's pretty much, I'm going to force out everything I did make a crucial misplay here, where I should have sent Hedgehog instead of Beast, but unfortunately things do happen for a reason. I did consider OTK to try an OTK, but I didn't have any other constructs, and for that I would have needed to go ahead and have the other construct available. And that's the reason why I didn't go for the OTK here, because I'm only running 2 construct. And I just go ahead and decide to banish all 3 instead of doing the hog for window, because I really just need to get rid of his stuff as soon as possible. So he goes ahead and makes Jet. Tries to go ahead and go for that. I have to go for the Shaddoll, so before he gets any negations or any heralds up on the field, I have a way of just going ahead and interrupting him by just making him forcibly negating 2 things, or making him waste more resources than normal. And following up with the Shaddoll fusion as well. So I pretty much had to go ahead and go for this play because I didn't go for the Hedgehog. Like, if I would have waited for the Auroradon and then plant the tokens, I probably could have just hoped to draw the A-lister, and I could have probably just done everything from there. But because that didn't happen, I pretty much just had to go ahead and just risk it, because unfortunately I didn't have a way of doing any other plays. So I draw for turn, and I draw Wendy, which is unfortunate because I do not have any other constructs. I'm only using 2. Bait out the negate with Shaddoll Fusion, forces him to go ahead. He thought I was attacking the Auroradon, but no, I'm attacking the Boros average, so I can go ahead and evenly match him, so he's forced to stay with the token. He goes ahead and uses Jet to go ahead and make Herald as a force, and that way he can go ahead and use the White Destiny as a way of just setting up a trap for the next turn. So I just pretty much have to attack and just keep hoping that if he does extend, I have him hero. But in this case, he does not, because I just have to go ahead and just wait for him to go ahead and do everything. And I wasn't able to recover enough. So I was able to draw the Imperm, but he's not really using effects. He used the Upstart to go ahead and give me 1,000 points. Does draw into the Ghost Mourner, but he's pretty much too far ahead, and I really do not have any resources to go ahead and just do anything about this. If I were to draw a Shaddoll Fusion, I probably could have done something else about this, but everything didn't go my way at the end. I drew into Lightning Storm, but it was really one of the cards I really didn't need. And so that's pretty much how my first game ended. So at this point, I'm X1. And my second matchup is against Pure Eldritch. And that's actually a bad matchup for Shaddoll, because of the fact that there's not really anything that we can benefit from what our opponent's doing. So here I'm able to make Mechaba and just try and say hopefully he's nothing. So he negates the Mechaba, goes for the Golden Lord, and from here he gets rid of it and just goes off by making it 35, attacking me directly, and he's able to set up 2 back row along with it. So I have to go ahead and try and do something. Make Construct, And from here, I actually made a misplay. Well, not really necessarily a misplay, but I could have done something different. I should have gotten the aerial and just banished and made for the bowl sword combo, but I unfortunately was just a little on tilt from the last matchup, honestly, so that's what happened there. So I make him go first in the second one, and this was pretty much a very hard grind game, so I go ahead and just go with Lightning Storm, just trying to get rid of anything. So he has all hand traps at this point. But since I didn't draw any of my fusions, I unfortunately don't have anything. But thankfully, I go ahead and was able to have Ash, so if he ever tries to go ahead and sanguine me, I can just go for it. So here he tries to go for the pop and the banish and the the banish and the golden lord, but because I was able to have Ash, I can pretty much just go ahead and do as much as I can. He couldn't respond to the construct even though he wants to with Ghost Mourner because I did have Meltdown. I just banished the 3 targets that he has in his graveyard that was going to recur. I'm sorry, 2 targets in Ash. So I go ahead and get rid of that so I can go ahead and get the Mecha Bell out. I try to trigger Invocation. He tries to DD Crow it, but I do have a monster in my hand, so I do get the chance to resolve it. And from here, you know this game. So again, he makes me go first. I didn't draw best. And this third game was really the grindiest out of all 3 of them because he has back row. I didn't draw any outs to back row. So I just have to pretty much just try and stall things out. So here I try to just bait out everything. Force the imperm and the banish. He tried to go ahead and use the Pleiades, but I just go ahead and imperm it, and he decides not to attack when he could have destroyed it, but he probably didn't want me to get an extra resource. So I go for the Verde Anaconda because he does have an extra deck monster. He knows I can just finish it off fusion with that. So he decides to pop it. Go for Invocation. And with this, I try to see if I can go ahead and just game. Unfortunately for me, that was not the case. And because of that, I pretty much had to go ahead and just take everything taken down to as low life in total as I could. Looking back on it, because we can learn from our mistakes, I probably should have just gone ahead and made the following. I should have just went into Purgatrio still, but I could have just gone ahead and just only used 1 monster by using if I would have just made Almirage and left the other monster on board, I could have still just gone ahead and used Purgatrio, and that way I could still protect my monsters. So here he just tries to go ahead and do as little damage to me as possible, since he's at such a low life point, so he literally has to go ahead and not take any damage from here on out. So I top deck the evenly match. Go ahead and use it. He just decides to pop his own, banish my Alistair and pop his own card. And then he, at the end of his turn, he brings back the Golden Lord. So from here, I just have to get rid of the Golden Lord that is not protected. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to draw my way out of it. So not the best starting out a tournament X2. But there is some good news to this, that the record does improve. So this was round 5 against an Emancipator. And so based on the plays that I did find odd on his order of plays. So because he normal summoned the Doki Doki, my initial reaction is, if he had an Emancipator, he probably would have normal summoned it. So that way, if one gets negated, he still has the other one in hand to go ahead and just continue playing. But since he didn't do that, I just go ahead and imperm it. He's forced to go ahead and use Block Dragon. And based on the plays that he took, I was kind of surprised because he, at this point, does go into Link Cross, does use the block, but he decides to go ahead and first off make Herald. After making Needle Fiber, and when he makes the Herald, it did catch me off guard because I thought he was not going to. He's probably going to use the Guardian to go ahead and use as material, but he decides to go ahead and use the Herald instead, so he can go ahead and make a Raptite, which I was surprised. He does decide to go ahead and use Raptite's effect. He does luckily get the Dragite, so he does draw a card. And he makes Poro Savage. And from here, he really doesn't do anything that stops me from playing. So he just makes the IP. And my hand literally is a little bit busted for the situation. Because he can only negate my spell effects once. So I just have to force it. So first off, I go ahead and just Foolish Burial the A-lister. So I use Invocation trying to force it. Trying to bait things out. So he changed the IP. So I decided to get rid of the Herald here. I probably could have gotten rid of the O-line. But it would have been negating the Quackimera, which probably could have done something about that. But I want to get rid of the spells. So go ahead and use the A-lister here. Use the effect. He does eat the Guardian. But I do have another one. And this time I do go for the Raijin play. So that way I can go ahead and bait out the Poro Savage. And from here, I literally just knew I was going to go ahead and try to OTK here as fast as I can. So instead of going for a regular OTK, I just decided to go ahead and just do as much damage as possible, knowing he probably wouldn't be able to go ahead and get past me. So I'm just here, just stalling out because I knew I was going to be able to just continue to escalate, especially when he just has the Poro Savage no negates. So I knew I was just going to be able to link off and just make the Poro Sword OTK. Game 2. Here, it was a little bit interesting. he bricked apparently, and he only set a Dragite, which did catch me off guard. And I was really thinking long and hard about this, so I decided to go ahead and just do a very situational play, which was try and go ahead and get as many things out of my deck before 5 summons. And here I decided to go ahead and just try to do as much as I can with this. So I make a window instead of making another construct, just so I can have the Aeolus engraved. And then I just go ahead and make Aguitas. And with this, I pretty much have a lock. If he tries to special summon a monster, it's going to get popped. And he can't special summon for the rest of the turn. So pretty much from here, it's just pretty much a soft lock that he has to go ahead and special summon a monster that can't be destroyed by effects and normal summon. So I just go ahead and get Dragon to pop the red reboot and just continue to the point where he literally will not have any of the resources. He does draw a block Dragon, but he knows if he summons it, I'm going to go ahead and just pop it. Which, really, if you think about it, he should have done that, but then I would have just ran over it. Anyways, on to my last game, and I'm going to showcase. So this is again against Emancipator, and so here you're going to see that I didn't draw any interruptions, so this is going to be the standard replace. I'm just going to fast forward this a little bit. So he just goes ahead and just goes after effect after effect. Don't want to take too much time on explaining the order of plays when we've probably seen this combo a lot this format and way too many times. So instead of making Bulbasaur, he makes Crystal Wing. And so from here, I knew that I had to go ahead and try to put up as much of a board as possible that he won't be able to just get past that. So what I do is I just go ahead and make a way of getting into my A-lister link. That way I can go ahead and get the invocation from the deck and still get a search. And from here, go for East. Link off into the Anaconda Verde, get back the El Shaddoll. Make Raijin, because I just want to set the monster, and that way he can't really trigger the effect, even if he could negate it. And that way I have a way of just continuing to flip his back row, flip my monsters back face down if they try to chain anything. So he tries to go ahead and destroy my spells and traps. I just chain the El Shaddoll, make Winda. And so from here I have a dragon on the field, which I know for a fact if he just tries to set one monster, I'm just going to go ahead and just flip it up, bounce it, and OTK him. So because of that, I just had to go ahead and go in my main phase, use the effect, bounce, use A-lister, and just fuse once to go ahead and go for game. So game 3, I was lucky to draw the Dark Ruler no more, and the Nibiru, so I had confidence whatever he had left after the Nibiru, I can just go ahead and just go off. So here he goes again to the standard. I'm gonna fast forward this again. So at the end of main phase, I go ahead and decide to call for Nibiru based on that board since he didn't get the chance to go into that. And I knew that IP was going to just link into a Unicorn. So I try to go ahead and bait it out. And so I drew into 2 Shaddoll fusions. I could have just baited one out the other. I said Dark Ruler no more first. In case he does have Ash, I have a way of going to the next turn. But since he didn't, just make window. And I go ahead and make Raijin. So I can go ahead and get rid of the IP and the Herald. And setting the Hedgehog just is the icing on the cake, because I know it's going to just search for anything I really need. So I Shaddoll Fusion since he couldn't get rid of it. Just make a construct. So in this case, I let him negate the win. It really didn't matter. I wasn't going to make more than 5 summons that turn. And he actually just helped me OTK him even harder if I really wanted to. But I decided to just go ahead and go for the attacks. I knew I had enough damage on board, so I didn't need to overextend. So those are the 2 matches, two of my last matches that I did won on my 4-game win streak. And so, gonna show off the deck profile in a moment. So give me a chance to pull it up for you guys. Alright guys, so my list for the tournament was the following. I had 3 A-lister, 3 Ash, King of the Swamp, and keep in mind the reason why I'm maxing out on the Invoked, on A-lister and the Invocation is because I want to see them as soon as possible. However, Meltdown, as much as I would like to see it, and the reason why I'm only running 2 Meltdown, is that after it's placed on my field once, I usually don't need more than 1, and if I do happen to draw the other, I really don't need it after that. And the side part is, since I'm running in my side deck cards like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched, I really can't have conflicting cards. So I would even side out one of my Meltdowns in the case where I want to go ahead and just put as much hate for the board as possible, so I can go ahead and just try to OTK. So Ash is an obvious hand trap for the format. King of the Swamp and Polymerization in this deck is actually very interesting because it helps A-lister, if he gets negated, you still have a way of fusioning into other plays, and not only that, it's also a great way of getting into any of your fusions in your deck if you're missing a fusion. That way you don't have to waste an invocation. And King of the Swamp can't take Alistair's name in order to be used for a fusion in the graveyard as well, so that's another benefit there. So it's perfect synergy in the deck with it. Mathematician's in the deck because of the fact that sometimes A-lister might not be enough. And when Dragoon comes out, this is actually going to be a key card because it's actually a 1-card Dragoon, as long as it doesn't get negated. 1 Ariel is standard, 3 Nibiru for the meta at the moment. That's probably going to change once they hit Black Dragon, in my opinion. Then we have the 1 Damage Juggler, the 1 Trick Clown, 3 Wendy, 1 Beast, 1 Dragon, 1 Hog, and 3 Skamata to round up my Shaddolls. I did have a Falco in before, but in this tournament I wanted to go ahead and just pop off right away. I didn't really want to focus on grind. And Falco was a grind card, and I actually like having something to grind out with. But in this case, I just wanted to go ahead and just start my plays as soon as possible, so I don't have to worry about it, because this deck can easily OTK. 3 El Shaddoll, gotta max out on the fusions. 1 Foolish Burial. It's anything in your deck that you really need. If you need a monster, if you need it in your hand, you can use Hedgehog, or you can use Damage Juggler to get a card out your deck. If you want it in the field, you have Wendy. If you want it to use as an upside, you have Beast. If you want to use it as an MST, you have Dragon. So it's literally anything that you need at the moment. And as you saw in one of my games, if you have Invocation in your hand, this is also another way of getting to A-lister. 3 Invocation, 2 Meltdown like I mentioned before. Poly, and 3 Shaddoll Fusion to round up spells. So there's 10 fusions in the deck, so you want to have as much of a chance of opening a fusion. So having a fourth of your deck just dedicated to the actual mechanic of just getting to the fusion is great. And for the rest, I have 3 infinite permanents, because this can hit VFD and also can go ahead and hit Needle Fiber with the case of Guardian on the field. And not only that, you still have the 1 Reshal Incarnation. Side deck, 3 Gamma, and the Driver. 1 Sphere Mode, I was debating on Red Reboot, but in case I was able to not draw any hand traps on my opening hand, this at least gives me a card to out the Buster Lock off of my top deck. 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Dark Ruin or more, 3 Lightning Storm, and 2 Evenly Matched, rounding out the side deck. This side deck is subject to change, so I'm still debating on certain things, but it most likely will get some form of change in the future, but I'm still debating on what I should. And for the extra deck standard, I had 5 Shaddoll Fusions, so it's Alkaline, 2 Construct, and 2 Winda. For the Invoked Fusions, I actually have 1 Algoides, 1 Mechabot, 1 Purgatrio, and 1 Raijin. Raijin is in here because Caliga is not really that great at the moment, and Raijin is actually a great option for when you flip your monsters after you have Wendy, or if you want to go ahead and flip down your windows to pop off and then flip Perfect face up before they can Nibiru you, and you still have an extra special summon. So it's still very versatile. The A-lister link to go ahead and help OTK. Boar Sword, because you're not running enough links for the access code, but if I could put access code, I probably would. 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Bright Anaconda, 1 Almirage, and 1 Gardna to round out the extract. Extract is extremely tight, so I would recommend, if you're going to add anything like Dragoon in the future, really consider your options, but the best option to take out would probably be the Raijin or the A-lister, depending on how you feel. But I honestly think the A-lister is more important because you can go ahead and make more OTKs possible with it. Anyways, that's my recap and my deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope to see you guys again in the next video. See ya.